Chef Chet Sharma is in the kitchen today cooking a wonderful traditional dish of lentils and rice. It's called kery. The tempered vegetables are spiced and they taste wonderful. We're adding green beans and lots of other veggies to give that anti-inflammatory kick. Chet is the founder and owner of BiBi, one of my favorite restaurants in London that is inspired by the traditions of Indian cooking, but also the wisdom of grandmothers, including his own. Definitely check it out. Doctor's Kitchen. Recipes, health, lifestyle. Kery, khichdi, like what's the...
Kery. I mean, I guess that when the British came, they changed it to kery.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of that same sort of thing. So it's like a rice-based porridge. I think pretty much every ancient culture has one. Pretty simple, especially for Indian food. Rice, some red split lentils, a little bit of cumin, some great turmeric, asafoetida, which is definitely non-negotiable in this dish.
Okay, yeah.
It's very important.
Non-negotiable.
Very important. And then garam masala as well.
Is that a secret recipe of yours, the garam masala?
That is my grandmother's recipe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
but it has some complex things in there, so it's not necessarily one that everyone's going to do, including like rose petals.
What?
Which is a bit of an odd one, but it gives it really good fragrance.
That smells sweet, aromatic, delicious, very, very different to the garam masala that you find in supermarkets.
So first bits are getting some chopping done. If I can get you to start dicing some of these beans and the tomato as well. With this dish, there's not really a set formula. You kind of have a structure with your lentils and your dal, but after that, it's kind of dealer's choice. You know, if you want to put in, I mean, I've done it with courgettes, we've got some spinach over here today.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of anything. Some frozen peas as well, which are always great to have.
Yeah, we're talking about the nutrition value of this, and like I think a lot of the reasons why cultures have rice and a lentil or legume is because that combination creates a complete protein. And I think most people wouldn't have been able to afford meat or like get meat every single day, so we've had to figure out ways in which to combine grains to get the ultimate nutrition.
I've taken some of this ghee, which we'll touch on a bit later, I guess, in terms of detail. Just put in some cumin, some asafoetida, and some onions. Now, this is home cooking, so we're roughing everything. I'm very lucky to be raised by amazing parents, but also my grandmother here in the UK. Of course, we named the restaurant BiBi, which means grandmother, so named after not just her, but all Indian grandmothers who bring so much great knowledge. Nice diced chili. These chilies aren't too spicy, so we put a couple in.
What type of chilies are these?
These are just Indian finger chilies. I'm just going to slice up some ginger.
Oh, what else am I chopping up over here?
Tomatoes, please.
Tomatoes, yeah? Just the one?
Yeah, just one.
And we're just doing a rough chop?
Yeah, just a rough chop. It's nice that we've got a lot of fresh produce like tomatoes to work with. Again, in the middle of winter, I would not use tomatoes.
Okay.
It's not essential, but I like that. It brings a little bit of acidity, a little bit of sweetness.
Could you use canned tomatoes?
I'd leave it out.
Just leave it out, yeah?
Yeah, because canned tomatoes, don't get me wrong, they're amazing for certain things. When you want to have something quite jammy and like cooked down.
Yeah.
This is all about freshness and brightness. Even the color we take the onions to, it's not going to be super dark. In the winter, I don't use tomatoes.
These are great. We should be using more things like cowpeas, pigeon peas, carlin peas, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because we've just got so many beautiful pulses and that diversity of fibers which support your gut health, which are fantastic for things like cholesterol. We should be using more like variety of those.
My onions, my ginger, my green chili is cooked off.
Gorgeous color. Smells so good.
Just off camera, I'm going to get some soaked rice and lentil.
And so you don't mind cooking some of those spices in the pan with the onions for a bit of time, because Ren, who's been on the podcast before, she told me off about like cooking spices for a long time.
So it depends on what you're doing. Powdered spices, I wouldn't cook for a long time, generally. Most Indian dishes are layered anyway, so you'll have something that's, you have your whole spices which you'll cook for a long time, and you have your powdered spices which you might add later on, because you get different layers of flavour.
Yeah. So remind me, we've got
the cumin, asafoetida's gone inside, and now we're going to add the turmeric.
Now the turmeric, okay.
So turmeric is partly fat soluble, but also loves to be diluted in water.
Yeah.
So if you want to get the freshness and real sort of bitterness of turmeric, quite often it just gives colour. That's because if you temper it in just fat, you're just getting colour.
Gotcha.
Whereas here you get the flavour of turmeric as well.
Ah, so a little bit of water.
A little bit of water.
Almost like sort of saffron, like how you use
saffron? Like blooming saffron, same sort of situation.
Oh, wow.
Some of the essential compounds are going to be fat soluble and some are going to be water soluble.
Okay. You've got different curcuminoids. There's like 70 or 80 that have been studied. That's why you get these supplements that are curcumin, and those are concentrated curcuminoids. They don't always declare which ones they're specifically speaking about, which is why I tend to opt for just whole turmeric.
Yeah, so this turmeric we've got here, it's quite special. So it's from from a place called Lakadong in northeast India.
Lakadong.
Lakadong. I mean, we forget that that turmeric is basically part of the same family as ginger.
Yeah.
So you get the whole root, you pulverize it. We're too used to seeing it as a powder, and normally a little bit paler than this. Whereas this is dried whole roots that we then powder at the restaurant.
Yeah, gosh, it's super vibrant. It's very, very different to the stuff that you find in the supermarket. And you get your stuff from Ren, right?
So some of our stuff from Ren. I mean, we love Ren. Some of the more very specific ones, sort of direct from farmers.
Okay.
Because I made the silly promise one day of saying that I'll visit every farm that we source spices from. And India is a huge country.
Yeah.
I mean, from Kashmir in the north to Kerala in the south, it's the same distance as London to Istanbul. And it's wider than it is long.
Wow.
So it's a big old country to cover.
Gosh, yeah.
We spent most of our childhood in India. Grew up here, but would go at least once a year. My family's background's also in farming, so it's quite usual for me to be on a farm in India.
Yeah. So how much water are we adding there? You're just doing a bio, obviously.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You can't call this a recipe. There is a basic structure. I mean, so rice and dal, learn from mum, use the cup of your hand.
Yeah.
But let's say half a cup of rice, half a cup of dal is probably going to get you to a place where you've got food for two people. I mean,
are there sort of principles, like depending on the size of the pan that you're using, you want to cover the rice and lentils like you have here by maybe half a centimetre or something like that?
I mean, to be honest, it probably needs more. But
okay.
I'm worried about it going to like mulch. The texture comes from all the veg, not from the lentils itself.
Yeah.
You're really enjoying the word mulch.
I love the word mulch. It's my new favourite word now. I'm going to start using that. Because people have issues with the word moist. I don't know if you've come across that before.
Yeah, no, I have.
You can't say moist.
I have. I almost said it on TV once. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. Everything was starting to start all over again. So I've learned not to use that word.
Yeah. Cool. So you've got the stems as well as some of the leaves of the coriander here, but that's going to go in a little bit later, is it?
Yeah. So always. When people throw these kind of things away, it
breaks my heart. So yeah, we're just going to cook that down for...
Yeah, I mean, it normally takes 10-15 minutes, probably about right. To use, I guess more traditional would be to use split black lentils, urad dal.
Okay, yeah.
But just the white bit, so the dehusked, de-skinned bit. That takes a little bit longer. If you use chana dal, so split Bengal gram.
Gotcha.
That's a half an hour job.
I don't think I fully appreciate or explored the breadth of different pulses that we could use, like the urad dal and tur dal. Like loads of people won't know what those are, but they're literally like hundreds of different types.
Oh yeah. And then you get into real sort of regional diversity. When I last did a tasting with some farmers in India, I think we tried 13 varieties just of rajma.
Wow.
And it was amazing how different they were.
Really?
It was incredible. First of all, they all look different. So yeah, in the meantime, we'll start doing the tempering for the veg. Maybe a little bit less ghee in this bit here. Yeah, so this ghee, I mean, it's a bit of a cheat. I shouldn't have it in the country. Okay. Because it's illegal to import. And we don't serve it in the restaurant. Okay, just down camera, please, nobody. So we don't use this in the restaurant. We make our own from butter that comes from Gloucestershire.
Right.
So, still grass-fed, great quality,
Gotcha.
and amazing. But this stuff is like magic.
Okay. I'm going to show my wife just how much you clean around the pan, because this is a very good habit to pick up. Rochelle is the messiest cook.
Can you show my wife at the same time? Yeah. Learned this spending time, especially with chefs from places that aren't the UK. Everyone talks about, al dente vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, you're cooking the nutrition out of them and everything else. Like, okay, so in some cases, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice to have a little bite. Some cases, like really overcooked stewed vegetables. Of course, if you've got some amazing petit pois, you're gonna eat them almost raw. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But also, stewing in a little bit of fat normally.
You want that variety, because like sometimes we'll cook and stew down green vegetables like in a sarg, hours and hours, and you just get that richness that you won't get from like fresh spinach or fresh kale or whatever you're putting in the sarg. And also the nutrition profile is just different. It's not like you're cooking anything away. With tomatoes, if you stew them for hours and hours, you get more lycopene, which is an antioxidant that's been linked to reduction in certain types of cancers, but you won't have any vitamin C because that's heat sensitive. So you'll lose the vitamin C, but you'll have more of the lycopene. And the reverse will be if you have a fresh heritage tomato salad, you have a lot more of the vitamin C and those other sensitive vitamins, but you won't have any lycopene. So it's kind of like spread betting. You just want put your chips wherever you can.
It's great to understand the science of it a bit more, but it's also why intuitively when I'd cook, we'd have variations in how much you cook stuff.
Totally.
But the idea that you've got pigeon peas which are overcooked and then beans are well cooked, let's say.
Yeah.
They're well cooked because that squeak, honestly, I really hate it. And then the spinach, you don't cook at all. Coriander, you basically don't cook at all.
You're just going to fold this through at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Can I grab just a tiny bit more water?
Yeah, sure.
So can you see what I mean about like really like cooking it all the way through?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure. So this is looking nice and mulchy now.
This is mulchy. This is mulchy. So I'm happy with how mulchy this is.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it's not. We can take it to a full paste, but everything's cooked in here.
Yeah. Nice.
There's still a little bit of vibrancy, and now we've got our
tempered veggies.
Our huge pot of veggies.
Yeah, nice. And if you wanted to add meat to this, add some fish or whatever, like would you add something like that?
I really don't think it's necessary. This is a very, very complete meal, and sometimes it's good. I mean, it's not plant-based on the basis that there's ghee in it. And in terms of like your sort of fat intake within the composition of this dish, you need to have ghee in your diet. You need to have fat in your diet.
You
have, especially if you're going to go more plant-based, because otherwise that's why people find this kind of food less satisfying.
Yeah.
This gives it everything that you'd need. You're going to just put a tiny bit of the garam masala as well.
Yeah.
And this is what Ren was kind of talking about.
Right,
like
yeah.
That last addition of...
So you're getting multiple layers there. You cooked in some spices, the cumin, turmeric, and then you're finishing with the raw spice as well. That is great. Mate, that looks awesome. I can't wait to dive in. Do you want to try?
Yum! Oh, this is so good. That was quick as well.
That was quick, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my god, that is so good. And that little flurry of masala at the end is, that is fab.